Hello folks, Reverend Crystal Cox here. Talk to you today about the Pleiadians. I've talked a bit about the Pleiadians recently, but I posted a lot of videos on my different blogs. People seem to get a little bit scared of the Pleiadian talk. Like I'm communicating with aliens. Well, that's kind of what channeled information is, yes. I feel like my whole life that I have been communicating with Spirit, and I get great clarity on pretty much whatever it is that I ask. And yes, I'm human, so I'm still working through a lot of ego and human things that muddle that up. But for me, the Pleiadian energy kind of intersects with Cherokee and Native American stuff. It's a lot of the same music and drums and tones and things come through. And for me, I had a guide that identified herself to me when I was very young named Nakai. And this person would come to me and was I associated with a Cherokee woman, very, very dark black hair. But she came to me, you know, as younger, as kind of middle-aged, and as older, you know, and all. I've written a lot about this story. I won't go into that right now. But it turns out it's the same person. It's a guide, and I didn't learn the Mother Maiden Crone thing until many, many years later. But the Pleiadian information is basically, it's information to help you to raise your vibration, raise your frequency. A lot of people, part of my job, what I feel that I'm to do, is to help you understand the Pleiadian information in a way that doesn't, let's just say, for lack of a better term, freak you out. Okay, because a lot of people get scared of thinking of aliens. People get scared of thinking of reptilians or evolution stuff, or just, there's all kinds of stuff. They find it better just to know just one God, one information, and, you know, that Jesus died for you, and just leave it at that and just study scriptures. But I don't often find that just studying scriptures makes life better. You know, people want to leave. They want to cross over and go home, because it's like, what do you do here on earth? They don't feel fulfilled in what they're doing, and they're not sure why they're here, because they don't feel like they fit in. They see through every illusion, it seems like. They get called freaks because everything that they see is a conspiracy. They know the truth of what's being said, and they can't just be on this hamster wheel. They can't be satisfied with it at all. And a lot of people are waking up and they're not satisfied, but they don't know what to do once they wake up. And so at Bringing Back Goddess Church, we are definitely going to help you with that. What to do with the transition in energy. How to want to stay here. Because once you're awake, it's like, oh God, you know, ignorance was bliss, right? So, but you're being called, if you're waking up and feeling this, as a light worker, a frequency keeper. Some of you are warriors of light, spiritual warriors, and you really have to fight to bring in the truth. And others are just kind of holding the frequency in their own home and feeling the change within themselves. And when you change yourself, you change the world, you change the whole universe, right? When you hold the frequency in yourself of positive, you're maintaining your own thoughts, you're paying attention to what you're thinking best you can. We get negative and we get sad and we get down, and you know, it's really hard. And you know, the more distractions, the easier it is, which I know, sad to say, sorry to say that, but you know, like if you got kids and you got soccer games and you got music things and you got work and you don't have any time at all to sit and contemplate, odds are that feeling of woe doesn't come over you a lot. And you don't get massively depressed except for in those quiet times when you see through the illusion and you're like, there's got to be something more. There's got to be something better to this. I very much so identify with shaman, Native American stuff, healing stuff. I believe that the Pleiadians communicated with the Indians. You know, the Native Americans had, you know, they had kind of a good thing going before whatever it was that brought in this white race that kind of changed things. Things got a little weird, really. Violence, and a lot of the information, the Pleiadian information, a lot of information across the board, including the Bible, about demonic forces, forces of the dark. You know, they want torture and they want death, okay? We die a natural death, and that's kind of the goal, to hold the frequency and be as joyful and have fun as best you can until you die. But obviously there are powers that be that don't want joy, and they want, you know, sadness, and they want poverty, and they want hunger, and they want suffering, and they want torture, and they feed off of this energy, and they feed off of fear. So some of us that are bringing in the Pleiadian information can just sit and vibrate in it, and it's wonderful just to hold that frequency. Some of them have been called a light worker. Some of us go out among and we, pull our light swords and, and just kind of light everything up. And some of us guide other people that are transitioning into this information. It's nothing to really fear. The Pleiadian information has been around since the 70s, I believe, probably way before that. But as far as like trying to people have claimed that they've communicated with these entities that they call the Pleiadians, the Syrians, the Arcturans, and you can think of it as sci-fi or Star Trek or some science fiction. You can think of it however you want. But a lot of people agree now that more and more people are admitting that they're getting information, okay? So, there's a voice in your head, right? It's like, and yes, there's intuition, there's your own thought, but sometimes there's things of like, what could be, how could I know that, right? Was it a past life? I mean, good and well you think of things sometimes that you really don't have any idea how you know, right? So part of what I'm going to do at Bringing Back Goddess Church is to help with the Pleiadian information. Barbara Marciniak's information, Barbara Han-Clow, Solara's stuff was Pleiadian information. It still is. There is Billy Meyer's stories. There's a lot of different Pleiadian information, and I myself feel like I have a Pleiadian guide. I actually feel like I am Pleiadian, and I connect to that energy very well. And I want to simplify that, and I might write it. I tend to not write things because I think that people know everything, and that it's easily found on the internet. But I realize that there's just so much information that people can't really digest it, right? So it's okay to go ahead and write little books that have simple statements, and it's not really trying to offend anybody or trying to dumb it down. It's like simple sentences that you can use and practice in your life. You feel much better knowing that you're holding a frequency rather than you're just hanging out in vain, and the empty nest stuff. And when people are retired and their kids are gone, it's like then they're faced with just themselves. It's like, what now? Right? Well, some of us, like myself, that's been my lifetime, because I've always had my own businesses. I've never, I've had some jobs for others, but I quit right away because I just don't like that kind of control and constriction. I'll work 16 hours a day for myself, but I'd rather not work for someone else. And so when you're in that grind and responsibility and guilt, and you have to, and you're in the system and you have to pay your utilities and you pay all this stuff, and they keep you on that hamster wheel, you really don't have time to pay attention completely to your own thoughts or have your own thoughts or, study New Age information, think about Pleiadian stuff. It's all just too far out there. And then when you get home and you want to relax, you basically just watch some mundane thing on TV just to make your mind go numb. But communication with spirit and prayer and intention and holding your own frequency is very, very important, and a lot of that is Pleiadian information. It is said that the Pleiadians started communicating with humans because after the first realization of the nuclear bombs that could destroy the whole planet, and that would affect the whole universe. Okay, so we have raised the vibration. Good is coming in. People are uprising. People are praying, but you just don't be afraid. Talk to your guides, talk to your angels. What's the worst thing that could happen? I mean, you die, but you don't really die. I mean, when you dream, dreaming should tell us alone that we don't die. But even if you believe in just the Bible as your source of spiritual information, I mean, if Jesus was brought back to life, then you could be brought back to life, right? But only if you don't sin. Well, what is sin? Who says what sin is? Somebody's interpretation of the Bible? Everything, every information, everything you need to know is inside of you. It is between you and God. Okay? You know what it is that's the right thing to do. Okay? So, don't be afraid of the word Pleiadian. Don't be afraid of the Pleiadian information. It is a good energy. It is of the light. It is not of the dark. And remember that if any information feels wrong to you, then it is wrong for you. But if you feel it in your heart and you feel intuition, and that's one thing. But if you feel it in your head just because of something that the Catholic Church has put on you, or Jehovah's Witnesses, or some other guilting and shaming and shunning and has put on you, then that might not necessarily be the truth. Pray about it, talk to your angels, talk to God, pray for a sign, ask for clarity on the topic, and to know whether or not it's right or not. Don't just assume because someone told you when you were a kid that it was voodoo and voodoo's evil, or it was Wiccan and Wiccan's evil, or pagan and pagan was evil, and all this stuff was evil. Don't assume that. Check in with your own body, your own intuition, your own guides, and understand that there is of the light and of the dark in every religion and every spirituality. And I think we certainly see that full roar in the Catholic Church. I mean, look at all the stuff that's come out. So it's case by case, person by person, whether, you know, it's of the light or of the dark. So I'm going to be talking a lot about Pleiadian information. I guess I'm going to write, when I say I guess is because I kind of kept thinking that everybody knows this stuff. But I realized that people that try to read the Pleiadian information, a lot of them get freaked out because they're like, that's not what I want. I'm not interested in channeled information. They're scared of it, or the information's too much for them. So I'm going to do something I'm going to call the Pleiadian scriptures, which scriptures are sacred texts. The word scripture, religion, church, priest, priestess, all of that's not owned by the church. Of course, they don't use priestess because they don't allow women to be the head of the church. But so I'm going to write some on the Pleiadian scriptures, and if you have any questions or you'd like to get some spiritual advice, you can email me, reverendcrystalcox@gmail.com. And I basically just wanted to do this video because of some feedback I've been getting and tell you not to be afraid of the Pleiadian information. You know, the more you know, the less fear you have. And also, if the information doesn't jive for you, it doesn't. But again, just make sure that that's not just in your head and in your guilt, but that it's really your intuition that says, this isn't the right path or information for me. And believe me, that happens to me all the time. So what's right for you, you'll know, and you can trust that. But don't just discount it because you feel like you're going to hell or guilt or shame or whatever. And, you know, that's not really true. And there is no heaven and hell and all of that's just, you know, poppycock. Trust your gut and keep on praying. God bless you all. Goddess bless you all.